Welcome, everybody, to Aspect Slant of a Changing Man. This is a show about change, positive change, and it brings you the things of how I found out about these changes and how it relates to other people, and how we can actually get these changes to affect our lives in the most great way. My name is Gold, and I am a person coming to you differently. I may sound differently for the people that have been listening to this show, mainly because I'm actually in a studio instead of on a Bluetooth headset. So I may sound a little different, more comfortable, and more exact when it comes to the stuff that you actually heard from me before. I'd like to thank everybody that has been listening in, supporting me, and keeping me going to actually keep the show as something that I would continue. For everybody else joining the show, welcome. And I hope that you find it something that you would want to continue to listen to, something that you learn from, and that you want to engage yourself with as far as with your ears, your mind, and your heart. Well, today's show, I'm basically by myself, but I will be by myself for most of the shows, but I'm coming to you telling you about, this is like the 2.0 of the show. So I'm coming to you telling you probably stuff that you already have heard from me or stuff that you already know. If you do know it, I apologize for just throwing some stuff at you that you already know. If you don't, then this is a thing that I would want someone to listen to, and hopefully it makes a big impact in their lives. This is not a show that's just for me. This is for different people. I'm going through changes, and as I see them happening, as I'm learning the knowledge that I feel that would change me towards the best person, I feel it is information that would be good to be shared with everybody. So, one thing that I learned, and one of the first things that I learned since I was 16 years old, there's been a want for me to get married. I've all, from 16, I was like, yeah, that seems like something to do. I mean, probably younger, but it was actually a realization in my mind, like, hey, this is what I'm actually going to do at 16. And I've been going through different relationships. And the thing is in life, if you don't learn from everything that happens, sometimes you won't see the things that will give you the small changes that will make big changes even easier. And I say that about a lot of things. Like, there's small battles that you have to win, just like playing a video game. There's small little things. If you ever play like Mario, those small little things you got to get by, maybe step on, jump over, or, go through if you have the star to get to the boss. And once you get to the boss, it'll probably be easier from those little things that you were doing that makes it easier for you to beat the boss, to get to the next level. So in those, there's been things that I wanted to change about my life, even when I was, I felt like I was at the top of the mountain, or I was on my way to the top of the mountain. There were things that I felt like I can change, but I didn't know how. Mostly, I'm not blaming it on anybody. I blame it on the situations that I was in. A lot of people become a product of their environment if they allow it to change them. If it's something that if it gives you something that you actually want, or in another case, fiend for, you typically tend to blend in with that type of those type of people, actions, society. That's the way that you tend to go. For me, I wasn't cool. I didn't have the cool clothes. I didn't have, the attitude that everybody else had, and I wanted it. So the people that had it, even though we were alike, with a lot of people not having that male figure in their lives, they still had the attitude. They were still cool. They had the clothes. They had the money. They had things that I wanted, and I wanted to be around it to see if I can be a part of that society. So a lot of things were learned in my in that experience that I didn't know when I became the person that was becoming the person that I wanted to be was not the things that I wanted to learn. You know, with a lot of people, with a lot of situations, especially in the male category, we tend to treat other people as if they're like aliens. You know, me being a black male, if you go into a black society, everybody that's different than you is like totally different. Like it seems like we're human beings and they're something else. There's some other species. So even women being the same type of, race or color seem like they were different. We would act as if they were different. So we would treat them as if, it was something where they would have to understand us or we got out the picture, and for me, I didn't like that, but there was no other way for me to actually, there was no other way that was being presented to me. Even things that were being told to me weren't being explained because there weren't people around me to explain these things, like how to keep calm. When they said, a happy wife is a happy life, I didn't understand that. When they say work hard and become the man, put your foot down, I didn't understand what they were saying by these things. All I know is, you got to be a man and hopefully you will become one. It was being told to me that there were these things that you had to do to become a man. And once you become a man, anything else means nothing except for you being that guy. You had to have all the money, you had to have all the materials, and you had to have the attitude. Only one of those things was correct about, what I actually needed. I mean, I had things that inside of me that I discovered later on that I didn't know were leaning towards me being that person. I feel as if everybody has like an ability, and I see it all the time when they talk about like talents and talents and abilities that people have. I feel if you ever watch X-Men, you're like a mutant. You have these special abilities that if you don't tap into or find a way to control, it would just happen at random times. So you'll be able to do these things and know that you're able to do these things, but you'll never be able to actually control them because you don't understand them. So there was a lot of things that I was able to do and discovered about myself, but I wasn't able to control it because I never had someone sitting there saying, this is this, and this is how you master it. This is how you could control that ability. So a lot of stuff happened just randomly, and I didn't know what to do. But back to the things that were being presented to me. A lot of the stuff that was being presented came from people that didn't understand what they were being taught as well. It was like the blind leading the blind. And with that, it came with an emptiness. So about 80%, 90% of us were all searching for something that we did not understand. And I see it actually affecting people if you look on social media by what they're presenting to the world today from their own phone, from their own personality. The things that they say, the way that they act, the things that they do show that if they didn't have that person in their lives showing them how to present themselves, they were really lost. So some of the things that I was taught being younger was be cool, get all the ladies, have the car, have the crib, have the car, have the crib, have the money, be that guy. And that's all I knew. That's all I knew to want to get is all this stuff. So when I was failing in one department, I was like, well, I got to get this other stuff so that I was able to hide my flaws, per se. So it was like, yeah, these things are going to hide my flaws. And it was a lot of things that I learned later on in life that came from the things that were taught to me younger. With me not having my dad around, or me not, my brother's dad was around, but my mom and my brother's dad, they never married, and they were an on and off relationship with a lot of other stuff happening. I never seen like any cheating or anything, but there was a lot of, I'm just not happy with these actions, no compromising, and, coming back together later on only to have that happen again. So that's just some of the things that I was taught. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe after all these makeups and breakups, we'll get married. So a lot of the stuff that I seen in my mind was put into the back of my mind, the subconscious part of my mind, for later on in life. With me, I figured this thing about fear. You will do, and I'm explaining it. I know I'm going like here and there, so give me a second, but I always get back to the subject. But with fear, you will do, and I'll explain this later in another episode, you will do what you're afraid of until you become comfortable with it just being something that you actually do. And no longer will it be just a fear. It will be the reaction that you do. You will be so comfortable in doing it that it was no longer caused by the fear. It was caused by the, reaction to, in this situation, yep, maybe I got to do this. Better let me explain it. So when I was about 15, I used to run away from home. And, I used to get kicked. First time I got kicked out of my mom's house, she called the police on me. They brought me to this kid place, this runaway home. And, my first time I was like, oh, no, I do not want to be here. I'm leaving and I'm going back home. I'll just apologize. And that's it. So I end up not getting my act together, but, I end up having to deal with that problem again. So the second time I went, I was like, I'm actually staying here. I'm going to experience this place. I'm getting tired of going home after getting kicked out. I can't get my act together because I don't know what to do. And, I want to do what I want to do. And I went to this place, and first time that I went there, there was a girl there, and I really liked her. And she liked me, of course. And we end up, talking to each other and hanging out, by ourselves and talking. And when I left, I got her number before I left. And I end up leaving the number in that place. So I was like, I got to go back to get that number. But the only way I knew how to get back into that place is to run away or get kicked out of home. So on purpose, I got kicked out of home. I got kicked out of the house to go back to that place again. Went looking for the number, didn't find it. But ended up finding another girl there that I would talk to. And it became comfortable. It became comfortable with getting kicked out of there. Then I turned 17 and I got kicked out, and they said, you're too old to come here. So I actually went to another place that was for teenagers that you could actually stay there for a while, because in the other place, you'd stay there for like a week and they would call your parents. You would have a talk, and then they would figure out, if you're going to stay and come again, or if you're going to stay and they got to come again to talk, or if you're going to go home with them. So I actually went home and came back. And when I became 17, I got kicked out, and they were like, "Hey, we got a place that we'll put you into that you could actually just stay." And I was like, "All right, cool, no doubt." Well, there it was comfortable being there. You're staying there, it's just like your home. You can go to. They get you in they sign you into high school. They feed you. You come in at a certain time. You got to be in by a certain time. If you got to work, you could do that. But other than that, you're home. And it was down the street from where I hung out at. So it became something that I did. And when I became older, it became something I subconsciously did. So I would always look for somewhere to have to go just in case that I did not, that the place that I didn't do was working. So I never really got my act together when it came down to me doing it. I just made an escape route. So when things didn't happen in the way that I wanted them to, I could just leave. I'm not going to, learn. I'm not going to learn from my mistakes. I'm just going to, my mistake is going to be if I don't have somewhere to go after I get caught doing wrong. So that was one of the things that subconsciously stayed with me and became something that I was so normal with, even though the fear was getting kicked out of places and I didn't like it. I actually hated the words "get out," but I wasn't willing to change the situation so that I wasn't hearing these words. I was just willing to have a backup plan so when I heard these words, I would have somewhere else to go. So I wouldn't, it was kind of me learning like a narcissistic type of situation. It was a narcissistic type of way to handle the situation. What changed about me in these situations that I was in? One, I got really, really tired of everything that was happening. I got tired of being kicked out of houses, homes. I got tired of breaking up, making up. I got tired of, not representing myself in the right way. People knowing me for the bad. People saying that I'm cool for all the wrong reasons. I was a good person. I never really was a troublemaker. I wasn't a person that was into like gangs or fighting or anything. I hung out with a lot of people that were into it, but it wasn't my nature. I got tired of being like the third wheel. When everything went wrong, I could just go hang out with somebody else and their partner, and until I get mine, I'm just hanging out with them. I got tired of being the scapegoat for things that weren't going, right in somebody else's life, because I would look at myself and see that I was actually toxic and that things were going wrong. And I would look at myself after, and sitting in a quiet place and be like, yeah, it's not right. Something's not right here, and it's me, and I don't know how to change it. All these things were adding up to me wanting to change for the better. I wasn't getting the money that I wanted to. I was putting myself in more and more debt of situations. When it came to bills, when it came to people, I was burning bridges everywhere. I wasn't a solid type of person inside of myself. If some people knew it, I knew it even more. That I just wasn't a solid person. And a lot of people liked me. I was friendly. I was cool to hang out with. But when it came to like those deep type of situations, I thought I was ass backwards. And I didn't like it. I got tired of it. It was driving me to not want to live. I didn't want to live at a point. at a point in life when all these things were going like haywire, when they were staying with me and I didn't know what to do. So I decided that something had to give. You know, I am religious. So I believe I'm not religious, but I believe in God. And I pray to him and I know that he hears me. And sometimes when you pray to him and you ask him to give you a situation, when it comes to change, it might be in a way that you don't like. And every time I asked him for some changes or something that happened, sometimes about 75, 80% of the time, I did not like what was going on after I asked him to do it. Mainly because I wasn't exact. I was like, yeah, just do your thing. And when he did his thing, I was like, hold on, man. And I just didn't like the way I had to learn, but I appreciate it now. I wanted to change for the better, and it took some real drastic situations for that to happen, and for me to back up to see that I got to stop blaming other people. You know, everybody was telling me that, hey man, you need to get this together, and I'd always have an excuse of why I wasn't able to do those things, and mostly it came on the blame of somebody else. And for my times, I've been in trouble. I've been to jail. I've had bad things happen. I'm not the most innocent person in the world, but a lot of stuff went haywire, and I was like, man, this actually has to change. One thing I have to do is I got to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, this stuff ain't right. The one thing that hurt was once I decided that this stuff ain't right, I didn't have any other way to handle it because there was nobody else that was different around me. Like, we were all individually, different, but there was no different person. There was no different personalities. There was no, person that I can actually look up to and say, hey, you know what? How did you either change your life, or how did you come to this point where you're so successful in what you do? I didn't see a married couple until I was 30. I'm 32 right now, but I wasn't around a married couple to where I seen them face to face all day, every day until I was 30. And so I had to learn what type of person I wanted to be. And I didn't know how to actually, look into that, except for when I was younger. And I actually had to reboot myself on everything that I thought, what I learned from in my past, and what I was representing, what I wanted to represent in the future. Because I knew I wanted to make changes. I knew I wanted to affect people in a positive way. I knew that, I had kids to raise. I knew that I had things that I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get to that point. So rebooting myself, transforming myself by renewing my mind was one thing that I actually had to do. And once I started over, I had to see like what type of people I wanted to be like. Because if I didn't have someone there that showed me who I wanted to be, I was just going to become the same old person. I would just go back to that. I've always been like a person that can hang out on their own. So me being around people was not the problem. It was just who I wanted to be. What changes did I want to make, and how do I make those changes? Those were the things that actually were actually causing me anger and frustration and confusion, because there was no answer. It was right there. It was always in my reach, but I would never have the answer on how to change it. So once I found this way, it was basically looking at different people, their situations, how important they are, what status they were in, how cool they were, how they handled themselves in the most pressure of situations. I see people that get talked about all the time, and they still rise to the occasion when it became that. Like if you look at I was like how, I get into arguments and debates. I used to argue and debate about everything. I was so good at arguing and debating that I would see myself debating until I turned into the right answer when I was wrong at first. And people would be like, well, what? Hold on. Yeah, you were wrong. And I'll be like, no, that's what I was saying the whole time. But I would debate so bad debate about everything with everybody so bad that that's what I would do. I would be able to somehow turn a situation into me being right and me being on the right side the whole time, supposedly. But that was one thing that was a problem that I had to change, and I had to figure out why was I debating, why was I arguing so much. And it was because I didn't know that nobody wins an argument. People may think that they understand that, that arguments happen or whatnot, but no, nobody wins an argument. You either, you could think that you're going to win a battle and win the war, but you'll lose the war, even though you feel like you won, you're winning the battle. One time, just to give you an example, because I never would win an argument when I have kids' moms, and one of them, we got into this argument, and I forgot what it was about. I think it was about Kanye West or something like that. And we were arguing all night. We woke up in the daytime, and she was the type of person that'd be like, we're not finished with this talk. I feel disrespected. You haven't fixed it. Let's get back to it so that you can fix it. And we started arguing again. And I was like, look at what you're doing. This is what you do. This is what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, this, don't you see that? And she finally got so fed up with me not, with me always arguing with her and saying the wrong things and always trying to point her out for the wrongs, that she was like, you know what, you're right. And I was like, haha, victory. I feel so good. It's about time. And, the blade, I was just like so happy that a blaze of fire just erupted in me. And I'm like, yes, the victory. Fireworks went off and everything. But then, it was ended by, all right, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Cool. Now get out. And it hit me like a bomb. Like, hold on, wait a minute. So because I'm right, I got to get out? And I was like, oh, how does this happen? And a lot of times I would see these things happen, and the situation wouldn't work in my favor. And I'd be like, hold on, man, something has to happen. Something has to be fixed. Because this is not working. These things are not happening to me where I'm not getting the right type of results, even though I'm doing the right things. And later on, I seen these situations. So when I actually took the time to sit down and think about what I was doing wrong, I'd be like, man, I argue too much. I'm not representing myself well. When I'm hearing the right things, I'm constantly not moving in the right direction. When I'm too scared of things, I'm supposed to be confident. I'm supposed to be a person that people can lean on to be that person that do count on me. And I'm not that. Yeah, I'm that at times, but I'm not that when it really counts. So I'm not representing myself. I'm not representing the people that are around me in the right way. And I wanted to change that. But it was taking me time to actually sit out of these situations, sit down and be able to look at things, read books, look at people that handle themselves in pressure situations and fix that. Like, hey, you know what? This person might not have the greatest personality. One person I do look at that handles himself great in situations is Donald Trump. Now, I don't like him as a president. I don't like him as a person, but his principles, his standards, they're great. When he goes into a situation and he doesn't want to talk about it, you'll ask him a question and he'll give you an answer, but it might not be the answer that you wanted. It might not be in the situation. He might not be in the situation that you want to give. It's like you're at his party. If you're asking me a question, and I don't want to answer this question and it's going to make me act some type of way or make me look like some type of figure, I'll do that on my own. I'll do that when I'll give you an answer when I feel like. I'll give you the answer that you want when I feel like it. LeBron James, he never goes on an interview station unless it's one that he's comfortable with. And a lot of people talk bad about him. They make it, smaller, not smaller people. Let me not put it in that way. But other people have been on these shows to defend themselves. They've been on these shows to represent themselves and figure and talk about who they, like what's going on with them. Not LeBron James. He goes on shows that he wants to go on. He interviews with people that he wants to. Michael Jordan, I haven't seen him in an interview since Ahmad Rashad. And he doesn't go on, he does what these are people that do what they want to do when they want to do them. Now, even when they look bad at what they're doing, because each one of them, I can sit here and say something that I find negative about what they do. You still don't get what you want out of them. It's like a king mentality. I had to learn like a king, how the king acts. A king doesn't answer to everyone calling them names, or they don't answer to everyone giving them emotion that they don't like. They respond to what they want to respond to when they want to respond to it. You may sit here in a crowd, a person may say that you're stupid. Now, the common person may look at you and respond to that. A person that doesn't have control over themselves may respond to that and say, oh, you know what, who you calling stupid? We can fight over it. But someone with a standard, that's higher than a standard that's higher than that would say, I'm not responding to just one person that thinks that I'm stupid. Why would I do that? That belittles me on the inside. And let me get this correct. No person is better than anybody. For me, when I sit here and say I'm in a battle, I'm not in a battle with a person. No person. We all bleed the same. We all have the same type of organs. We have eyes, we have ears, we have nose. Nothing makes a man better than another man when it comes to him just being a man. But when it comes to your principles, your morals, your guidelines, your standards, the things that you find, the way that you act, the things that you find important, your work ethic, the way you handle pressure in situations, what you do with the things you're presented with, those are the things that make people different than others. And when you are a king, or when you are a person of importance, it's because of the way that you represented yourself, the way that people actually view you as a person, how you respond to things. Barack Obama was criticized for a lot of things. Even our president right now criticized Barack Obama about something, the birth certificate. But he criticized him about something, and he still didn't respond to it because he was like, that's not a level that I'm going to actually, respond to. Like, he responded, but it was on his time. He didn't just jump out and say, instant news, oh man, important news. I got to respond to this. He was like, hey, man, on my time, I'm going to do that. And that's what people of importance do. They say, hey, on my time, I'm going to respond to that. I'm going to give you what I want to give you when I want to give it to you. If you're not of that importance to me, if there's not so many, with a king, it was like when the whole town is feeling some type of way, hey, I got to respond to this because, things are going haywire. But when one person is throwing a tomato at me, hey, just get rid of that guy. Just put that guy right there. He's causing hecticness. I'm not going to respond to it. I'm just going to tell you to respond to it. And so you can, hey, go get rid of that one right there. But for me, so in pressurable situations, I decided to change. I didn't like the way that I looked. My health was bad. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I just didn't like the way that I looked. I didn't like the way that I felt. I changed my image. I changed my image. I changed my work ethic. I changed the way that I treated myself, what I wanted to eat, things, the way that I talked to people, the way I viewed people. I don't talk bad about anybody anymore. Even if you are in situations that I don't like, I don't talk bad about you. I might say, hey, you're not as good as what people think that you are, or I don't say you're whack, you're stupid or anything else. I just say, hey, you may not be as good as what I thought you were before in that field because of what you're doing. So I don't talk bad about anybody. If anything happens, I'm like, I hope they succeed in that type of way. But if they don't, I hope they change it up. I don't respond to everything that happens. I've been threatened. I've been, criticized. I've been told things. I've been called things that not normal people because I'm not anything higher, but normally I would respond to in a way where it would be a problem to the other person. I don't argue over little things anymore. I apologize. I look at situations in my family. We've gotten into arguments before, and we would sit here and say some stuff to each other, and we would go our separate ways. I remember my grandmother had an apartment above my mom. And so I stayed with my grandmother. My sister stayed with my mom. My brother stayed with his dad way over on the other side of town. So I would get into arguments with everybody, and we would just separate, and we'll take some time off, cool off, and we'll come back together, and we'll it'll be that point where you look at each other, somebody says something, and then the other person responds in a cool type of way, and then everything just went back to normal. I actually apologize now. I will apologize first and not care about it because it's something to where let me represent what I need to represent. You can actually, if they weren't my family, they would probably be a person that I wouldn't talk to anymore. And that person might have been of importance to me. And yes, yes, that is a family thing. But at the same time, I don't think that is a good thing. So I will apologize. I will say that I'm wrong. Even when I don't think that I'm in the wrong, I will apologize because that bridge is too big to burn down. Now, if it's something of non-importance and you just want to leave, cool, no doubt. See you when I see you. Maybe you'll figure it out. But when it's a situation where I don't want it to end, I'm not sure what's happening. It's too little of it's too little of an argument to back up and end everything upon. Hey, I'm sorry for it. And there has been I gotta thank not only God, but there's been people that He's put into my life that have helped me be able to see these things and not only see these things, but learn from these things. And there's a lot of stuff that I actually learned coming into this situation. This is a small type of figure of a situation. This is actually like, okay, yeah, everybody might have had that fixing happening. Now what's the big thing that you have going on? I know I'm in a battle. I'm in a battle every day. And the battles that I have nothing to do, I don't pick up a gun. I don't, I don't need a knife to carry every day. I'm at peace, but I'm still in a war. And it's not with another fleshly being. I'm at war with things that come over us. Not aliens. I'm in feelings. I'm at war with feelings. I'm at war with reaction. I'm at war with principles, values, morals, when they're not the ones that will increase peace, increase love, increase growth. There's one thing about a flower. When it blooms to its full beauty, that is the moment that it actually starts dying. And somebody taught me that once you stop growing, that's when you actually start dying. So I'm always into growth when it comes to growing, because I don't want to start dying. I mean, I know one day I'm going to die, but at the same time, I don't want to stop growing. So when principles are against fleshly things, one person that I look up to the most is Martin Luther King Jr., because he represented us in a way where we can actually change people by being peace. If we're someone else's peace, we can bring peace. Yes, even though you are able to do me wrong, I still represent you well. And in patience, if I keep giving you the love that you might not deserve, you will see that there is another way for us to come together. We don't have to think that somebody's better than somebody else. What we have to do is be able to treat each other with respect and love. There's a lot of people that want to get over on somebody else, or feel like they have to, when you really don't have to. We can work together. We can hold hands. We can walk through this. Life is like a landmine. And, if we can hold hands and walk together, and somebody's leading the landmine, not walk hands, because if you walk side by side, somebody's blowing up. But if if we can walk together, we can pick a leader, we can walk through this. Every step that they take, we can take with them. And hopefully we make it through this landmine to where everybody is safe, comfortable, loved, feeling good, growing, and feeling like they're ready for the next adventure. Well, it's been fun. I've been loving this. It's a great experience. I love to just talk and keep going and doing my thing, but this is Aspect Slant of a Changing Man 2.0. And this is something that I'm going to raise into an adult show that is something great. And I'm hoping that people come along with me. If you do, cool, no doubt. Join in. Let me know what you think. If you don't, hey, I can't cater to everyone. But if you want to hit me up, you could always do that. I have different type of areas that you can hit me up in and let me know what you think, what you want to hear, what what's going on with you. You can hit me up. My email address is mplsmikid at either Yahoo or gmail.com. You can hit me up on my personal page, which is Gold Washington. That's on Facebook and Instagram. I do have an Aspect Slant of a Changing Man page on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on all those things. You can hit me up and let me know what's good, what changes you made in your life. If you're learning anything, if you disagree with anything that I'm saying, I'm definitely down for the cause of hearing opinions about what's going on. So you can hit me up. Let me know what's going on. And we definitely will be doing this again, and we will keep it going. I hope you guys have a great day. This is Aspect Slant of a Changing Man, and I'll holla at you.